Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen, or whatever day it is you are watching this video. We have nothing short of an exciting one lined up for you today. We are going to be talking about Cardano ADA once again, and I do apologize for the Cardano dump in regards to content. However, we currently have the Cardano Summit, the annual Cardano Summit taking place at the moment, and there has been a wealth of information to come out of it, and we're likely going to be covering a lot of it in the coming weeks. But today I want to focus on something that is truly magnificent and a testament to Ouroboros, and that is partner chains. We're going to be getting into the announcement. We're going to be getting into what it means. We're going to be hearing from Charles Hoskinson from the summit with his recent whiteboard talk. And then we're going to be going right the way back to a video of his original whiteboard talk where he introduces Ouroboros and linking it all together. Now, partner chains, side chains, layer twos, we can make a lot of sense of it. And actually, we've often compared Cardano to a cake with its different layers. We've also compared Ouroboros to the beating heart if we look at the human body and use that analogy, because the beating heart is really the center of everything. And it provides the life force for all the organs to work and operate and do their various tasks. And that is Ouroboros. And the beauty of Ouroboros, and it really is a fleet in blockchain technology, and Charles Hoskinson is nothing short of a visionary, somebody that helped me understand the gravity of this space. Ouroboros, the beauty of it is it doesn't just have to consent the Cardano layer 1. You can utilize that resource pool to consent essentially an infinite amount of chains that all have a link to Cardano. And through this, you can facilitate things like interoperability, scalability, and all the other weird and wonderful use cases, security, privacy that come in between that. So we're going to get into it, guys. I do believe we are really truly somebody that understands Cardano. We've been looking into it for a long time. We've actually even incorporated into our book where we're looking at 10 cryptocurrencies that we believe have and are going to continue to change the world. So without further ado, guys, without me rambling on, we've got 2 clips to play for you. Let's get into the announcement. Let's get into what it means. Let's look at a link I'm very excited about as a massive fan of Polkadot, which is, of course, IOG now exploring Substrate. We'll get into it all. We've got a lot to cover, so strap yourselves in, guys. This is going to be an exciting video. So this is the announcement from Input Output. Partner chains are the next frontier for Cardano's evolution. IOG unveils a revolutionary framework enabling development, interoperability, layer 1 blockchain networks to thrive. And actually below this, you can see a comment. And we've actually always said this. We love Polkadot. We think it's great. We love the idea of a layer 0. Cardano almost is a layer 0 in regards to what Ouroboros was always supposed to be. It was supposed to be the beating heart again for other people that could build chains and utilize that. Even if you look at layer 2s were always kind of a vision for Cardano. And we're going to play that original whiteboard clip from Charles Hoskinson to reiterate this. We played this clip a million times. It's something we've championed. It's why we like Ouroboros so much. But you can see here that actually Ouroboros really inspired Polkadot's consensus as well. In fact, essentially, Polkadot uses Ouroboros with Grandpa on top, their babe protocol. Credit where it's due always. And of course, we know there's a history between Polkadot and Cardano with, of course, Gavin Wood and Charles Hoskinson, both being people that worked on Ethereum in the early days. And I know that Charles departed in 2014. I think Gavin maybe a little bit later, but Gavin actually wrote the EVM. Gavin is a genius when it comes to space. We love Polkadot. We also recently had Bill Laboon on to cover the new potential, if it gets voted on and passed through their governance direction that Polkadot's heading in, which is truly exciting. But let's move on. So the link to Polkadot here, and we love to see 2 ecosystems that we really like potentially colliding. IOG is drawing upon parity technologies, Substrate Stack, a proven open source modular framework as a base, extending it with trustless integration to Cardano and contributing a set of composable substrate components known as pallets to unlock the potential of a partner chain. This partner chain essentially could allow a link to Polkadot and its entire ecosystem in a trustless fashion. Actually, this will benefit both chains. There's a lot of tribalism out there in the crypto space, and I understand it, guys. I'm not against you. I'm not somebody that's going to say, oh, you shouldn't be tribal. I understand people have their favorite projects and they want to champion them and they want them to win. My eggs, though, however, are not all in one basket. I have a lot of cryptos, nearly 20 plus cryptos that I hold in my own portfolio, and hundreds that I keep an eye on. There are going to be multiple winners in this space, and we believe we bring some of those to you on a daily basis. But we are very impressed by Cardano's Ouroboros consensus, and this is a massive testimony to it. So what I want to do now, guys, of course, this is the official announcement. We are also writing a paper on it over at allincrypto.com, or an article, I should say, is go over to Charles Hoskinson actually introducing this at the Cardano Summit. And then we're going to go back in time, and we're actually going to talk about Ouroboros, which will allow this to make a lot of sense, what's actually going on, and kind of tie everything in with side chains, layer twos, and everything in between that utilize and harness the valuable resource that is stake pool operators like myself. ALLIN is the pool if you guys want to delegate to us. So yeah, let's get into the clip, guys, and then we're going to move on swiftly.
All right, let's talk about partner chains. First off, let's change some names. We called originally Cardano the Cardano settlement layer. So let's call it now the CASL, because we just keep changing stuff, right? Cardano assets and settlement layer, great. And instead of calling these things control or computation layers, let's call them CSLs, the new CSL. So much better than the old one. Cardano service layers. So basically, interoperability, if you're really clever and you're really smart, what you do is you have a blockchain building framework. So we'll call it the Cardano Partner Chain Framework, the CPS. And what this framework does is it'll have Minotaur built under the hood, and that framework will give you the ability to have multi-resource consensus. So the SPOs here, what they can do is they can provide security to these chains, almost like a layer 2. But like a side chain, you also can have your own consensus algorithms, and like interoperability, suddenly you can borrow security from other systems, real time, like Ethereum, like Bitcoin, like Polkadot, and others as they get added. What does that mean? If you have tokens here, the tokens can pay the stake pool operators here, but suddenly they also can pay the stake pool people here, the miners here, and the miners here. What does that mean? It means that we all have a financial incentive to like each other now. No one else does this. See, the problem with all these frameworks, the way they're written, whether it be Cosmos or Parity, you check in, but you can't check out. You're stuck. You're locked into it. When you have a system like this, and you can change your consensus on the fly, what that means is if you don't like Ethereum anymore, if Vitalik said some weird stuff or something, you just get rid of it. Yeah. Bitcoin, I'm now an environmentalist. I hate mining. Yeah, there we go. And you just add other shit, right? Maybe you're just Cardano maxi, and you're like, we just love Cardano so much, so we're just going to do that. And maybe, just maybe, Cardano really pissed you off. I tweeted something you really don't like. Often do that. Come on, let's be honest. Yeah, you maybe just go to proof of work. You just go down that road or something like that and leave. The ecosystem on the service layer gets the freedom to decide that. They have the freedom of movement because that's what interoperability should be about. Standards and freedom liberate you to do what's best for your projects. They liberate you to think about what's best for these things. Now, if you add this with one other clever innovation, a dual token model, then what you can do is start exploring something really clever and cool. You can treat the token that's on the sidechain, the service layer, the partner chain. I promise you we'll unify the language one day. They're partner chains. As your resource. And you can start talking about different monetary policies that give you predictable pricing. So suddenly you don't wake up with a 3x or 5x in your operational cost for that service, whether it be a privacy chain or a decentralized large language model or a nameless decentralized telecommunication company, which may or may not be here. Quiet you. You can have a resource for that. It's great. It's magic. But you also can have, as a Cardano native asset on the main chain, the thing that controls governance, maintenance, consensus, these types of things. So that can follow deflationary policy, for example, like Cardano does, Bitcoin does, or others. So you split the monetary policy. You don't overload your asset, which means you get the best of all worlds. You get liquidity, decentralization, fast bootstrap, just magic. It's incredible. Yet you still have freedom. Why do we do this? Because at the end of the day, if Cardano is to win and become #1, we have to take the brilliance of all of the industry and make it our own. Cardano plus this framework just like Microsoft plus Apple in the 90s, is basically 100% of the market. There's no more extended UTXO versus EVM. We got it all. That's what we're doing. And that's what real interoperability is. And why will the industry let us do it? Well, because we pay them.
Interesting indeed. You know, there's all these kind of moving parts now. It's why we kind of liken Cardano to a cake with its layers and other things. But this really is the beauty of Ouroboros, because Ouroboros is enabling all of this and utilizing the resource that it has, which is the stake pool operators, to do everything, you know, to facilitate people to do whatever they want with this technology, whether that be interoperability, whether that be, you know, privacy with the likes of Midnight and other things. I know there's a lot of controversy right now with Midnight. We're not going to comment on it. We've got our own opinions, but they are as. Let's move on now. Let's go right the way back, or let's go back and actually look at Ouroboros. And this will really help, I think, people understand how all this is possible, and why Cardano and Ouroboros is such a great project, and really a kind of huge advancement in, certainly at the time, blockchain technology. So let's get into the second clip, and then we'll wrap the video up.
So Cardano, what we're trying to do is figure out ways to solve these problems in a very elegant way. Namely that as we add people to the network, we naturally get more transactions per second, we get more network resources, and eventually we'll get more available overall data storage without compromising our security model. So let's talk a little bit about some of the innovations we've already brought, namely with the throughput. We've developed a peer-reviewed white paper for a provably secure proof-of-stake protocol called Ouroboros. And Ouroboros is among one of the most efficient consensus protocols in the cryptocurrency space, and it's the first to actually be proven secure in a very rigorous cryptographic way. The magic of Ouroboros is that it's been designed in a modular way, and it's been designed with future-proofing in its DNA. So, namely, how Ouroboros works is Ouroboros breaks the world into epochs. It takes a look at the distribution of tokens, and from a source of random numbers, it's able to hold an election and create slot leaders. Now, these slot leaders functionally do the exact same thing that a miner would do in Bitcoin. So this is basically the same as a person who discovers a block, wins a block in Bitcoin. But the difference is that it doesn't require the extensive computational resources that Bitcoin requires to construct a block. And as a consequence, this system is considerably cheaper to run, even though we still have similar security guarantees that Bitcoin currently enjoys. So it's a major advancement. But the other really interesting thing is that these slot leaders don't have to just maintain a single block and a single chain. They can actually maintain other blocks and other chains. Because the cost of constructing a block is so low, it's actually now tractable to talk about consensus over a range of blockchains instead of a single chain. Furthermore, epochs perhaps could even be run in parallel. So instead of having one epoch run and then another epoch run, one could develop a system using Ouroboros where epochs run in parallel and transactions are partitioned accordingly. What this effectively means is as you gain more users and your users gain more capabilities, these slot leaders will be able to maintain more types of blockchains and also run transaction processing for blockchains in parallel. This is a major advancement. The other cool thing is that Ouroboros has very rigorous security standards in terms of its theoretical foundations as well as its implementation. So as a consequence, as we develop new capabilities for the protocol, these capabilities are somewhat composable, meaning that these capabilities will also be secure. Whereas other systems, one has to prove these things on a case-in-case basis, in some cases make major modifications or changes to their system.
So we've gone to the present, and then we've gone right back to the past, and actually how all this is possible, how these partner chains, not parent chains, kind of Cardano maybe could be the parent chain in this case, are actually going to utilize Ouroboros to work with the set of resources you have that consent the Cardano chain at the moment, which anybody can set up actually rather cost efficiently. You can essentially spread those resources and take that resource and duplicate it to do multiple things like partner chains that can then interoperate. You know, we also had news with World Mobile looking to kind of utilize Cosmos's SDKs as well. It's very interesting with a side chain. It's very interesting how everything's coming together. And this is the kind of approach that Cardano has taken to not just rush things out, but view these things from an academic point of view and then apply them practically. And we are seeing years and years of academic research now come to the forefront. And we think Cardano could do quite well out of it. And on top of that, Cardano is a very organic blockchain. And what I mean by that is it is likely to succeed for the same reasons that Bitcoin is likely to succeed. And that is with the real need in a sort of ever more totalitarian world for decentralized systems. And we looked at that in yesterday's video, so I don't really want to go too much into it. But that's really all we've got for you guys. Big news in regards to partner chains. Very interesting how it's going to connect all these ecosystems. And actually, this solves interoperability with all these other add-ons that Cardano is working on, you know, with the likes of Mithril for building Marlow and all these other things. You know, you've got this really interesting kind of powerhouse forming in regards to ADA. That's all we've got for you in this video, guys. If you've enjoyed this content, like us, appreciate it. So as a comment. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Have a fantastic Friday, guys. Catch you in the next.